Hi, this is going to be a demo of a One Planet PROConnect Ecosystem account. I am going to be using a demo pack that I've built for a generic company. This is just to provide some context to the ecosystem as we work through it. The ecosystem itself is very flexible and can be tailored to suit a number of different needs. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and spend about 20 minutes taking you through some of the core functionality of the PROConnect Ecosystem account. Okay. So hopefully my screen is now being shared, and what you can all see is the company demo PROConnect Ecosystem account. So this is the dashboard, and what we have here is a name that can be tailored, as well as a picture that can be tailored, and then a number of navigation cards that helps you navigate around the ecosystem, the different groups and plans that you have. Where I'm going to start is here within the ecosystem plan itself. So an ecosystem plan is the overarching vision that's going to drive an ecosystem. Now, by ecosystem, I mean both internal, in this case, departments of a company, but they could be projects or assets. But in terms of the demo today, this company has internal departments, but an ecosystem also consists of external stakeholders. And we connect an ecosystem through what I'm going to show you here on the mind map view. And these are our nodes we create. These round ones are shared outcomes. And we have a simple theory at One Planet, which is the more shared outcomes you have with your ecosystem, the greater your impact is going to be, and the more purpose you're going to have, the more resilient you will be. So what we've created here is an ecosystem plan. It's the high level strategy of shared outcomes, what you want to achieve together, and shared indicators, data that you're all tracking to make sure that you're on track to achieve your shared outcomes. I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see in close detail. It's living, it reacts in near real time, and it is a relational database. So all of these links that have been made between the nodes hold meaning and help to organize the data that are held within each node. At the moment, we are viewing this vision in the One Planet Living lens. That's a framework from Bioregional. Obviously, currently, especially in sustainability, we are all working towards lots of different lenses and frameworks and certification schemes. So rather than changing your goalposts of your strategy, what One Planet allows you to do is to set your strategy here through a number of shared outcomes and shared indicators, and then assign them to different frameworks. So here we're viewing this vision in the One Planet Living lens, but a click of a button, it's reorganized and will show us the vision against the SDGs, that's the UN's SDGs. So you can see how many of the SDGs are really high level this company is going to be working towards. Let me just put this back into One Planet Living, as that is the lens that I will be using throughout the remainder of this demo. I need to move my little face. Let's close that. Okay, so what else we can do on a mind map view is you can start to understand the connections and the synergies between the outcomes that the indicators that we're trying to achieve. So let me just hide everything, and we can start to build it up. So maybe let's look at the connections between health and happiness, and let's go for travel and transport. So we can see between these two principles that this company is wanting happy and healthy staff, and that's connected directly to their promoting of walking and cycling. And as we connect on each of the different principles, we can see how their overarching strategy touches on all the different assets here of this One Planet Living framework. So we can see how they've created a really robust overarching strategy for their company. So this is the ecosystem plan. It's the high overarching strategy. It's made up of a series of shared outcomes and shared indicators that you wish to cascade both internally throughout the departments of this company, but also connect externally with their stakeholders to ensure that they're resilient and are contributing collectively within an ecosystem to the kinds of shared outcomes that people want to achieve. So let's next take a look at how you start to cascade these shared outcomes. I've just clicked on one here called Operate on 100% Renewable Energy. This is the shared outcome I'm going to use today as we go through the demo. As I scroll down here, we can see all of the different plans where this particular shared outcome has been adopted. So it's quite a popular outcome. Lots of people are working towards it. So let's take a look at how people are contributing. I'm back on the dashboard, and I've just scrolled down here to where we can start to see all of our subgroups. This is just an organizational level. So I've opened up subgroups here, and we can see in the company their internal subgroups are their departments, the marketing department, human resources, finances, and their customer support department. I'm just going to look at a plan here in the finance department, which I have opened here. It's an action plan, and here it is in my map view. So whereas before we were looking at an ecosystem plan, which was the high overarching vision, which was shared outcomes and shared indicators, what we have here is an internal department level action plan, and it's how they're going to action all the different shared outcomes that they are personally contributing towards within this department. So if we zoom in here, we can see they've adopted quite a number of different shared outcomes from the overarching ecosystem plan, including operate on 100% renewable energy. And what they've also done is connected actions and indicators to it that they're contributing towards. So if we click here on the action first, this is called change company energy supplier to a renewable supplier. So this is one of the actions that's being undertaken. You can see that actually the status has been set to completed. It was completed back in March, and it was completed by someone called Jason Moss. We know who was responsible and what they've done. So by clicking on additional data, this is the data that's been stored in this action node. Jason's updated all the progress updates, so we can see that they've achieved full completion. And here's a number of comments on how I went through the process of choosing the renewable energy supplier. And also on stories, Jason's also created a story about having found the renewable energy supplier. And I think here we can see that they have got a quote: if you use company X 2020, then you can get a discount on your home energy tariff supply. So that's a fantastic story to create and publish and share within your company. So that's an action. You can track your status, you can record data on progress and stories. And we also have an indicator attached to this shared outcome. So the finance department's also been logging data into this shared indicator of the percent of energy from renewables. We can see that there's more information here that's been attached. There is a source, which is a spreadsheet of their electricity use. And if we expand additional data, we can see that there's also quantitative and again, qualitative data that's been input for this particular indicator. So we can see when they started recording their renewable energy back in January of 2020, they were on 0, and they've managed to make their way up to at least 85% as of January when the last progress update was entered. There's some information about that, what they've done, like EV charging points to solar panels. And there's also a number of stories about the key milestones they've reached. You can also input charts here. Unfortunately, I don't have them to show in this particular node, but we can also store visual, qualitative and quantitative data in a number of different formats. The other really neat feature about my map view is, again, you can start to understand the synergies and which actions are going to have the most impact. This is a really good example here. This is an action which is buying office supplies locally. Although it's a materials, let's expand it, materials and products principal action, we can see it's been linked into a number of different principles. So we've got culture and community, equity and local economy, as well as travel and transport, which then feeds into a zero carbon principle. So buying office supplies locally is going to impact directly not only their outcome of wanting to produce a thriving local economy, but it's also going to help them reach their zero carbon by 2025 outcome. And they're tracking how they're doing this by thinking about how many suppliers that they're engaging with who are local, as well as considering the overall delivery miles that they have on their office supplies, which obviously is going to have an impact on their carbon footprint. So you can start to see through the connections visually represented here which actions are best connected, maybe where there's conflicts, and then you can also embed data within each node to track progress, to show how you're doing, to tell a story. So that's my map view. Again, you can change by clicking on a button into a different lens, and it will reorganize that map for you, and you'll be able to visually see how that looks against a different framework. Okay, I'm going to take us next to table view. So this is this same ESG investment plan of the finance department, but we're now looking at it in a table. So whereas mind map's great for mapping and planning and strategizing and seeing all those connections, on a day-to-day workflow basis, you might not need to see everything to know everything. You're just going to want to find the particular indicators, for instance, where you want to track your data. So I have table view here, and I've opened it up in indicator view, and I'm going to filter by my bookmarks. So bookmarks is a feature where you can bookmark, and when you filter, it's going to just show me the nodes that I have chosen to bookmark. So these are the indicators, for instance, that I'm personally responsible for. And it makes it really quick and easy. You can sort by principal, or you can type text and it can take you to the node straight away. We also then have document view, which I've opened up here as well. So this is again document view of that same plan. So it's the finance plan, it's the ESG investment plan. And I've created a document here. I'm going to select all data. It's going to bring all the data that was there in the action plan. Let's go down to that same principle we were looking at and find 100% renewable energy. Here we go, here it is. Here's change energy company supplier. And here's all that data that Jason had entered across those two actions and indicator. Now, maybe you want to produce a document, but you don't want all of your stories in this. Maybe you don't want to share the company X 2020 discount code. So all you can do here is click on the hide button. I'm back here at the top of the screen. If I was to export this plan, if I was to generate it as a PDF or Word or an Excel, then that story would now be hidden, but it's still there within the plan. Again, we can change lens. If I pop it into the Sustainable Development Goals, it's going to reorganize this entire document for me at a click of a button. And I think now the zero carbon stuff from One Planet Living is going to be here under affordable and clean energy. And if I scroll down, we can see here that's the data. It's all been collated and reorganized. It's remembered that I wanted that story to be hidden. But I click a button, I can bring it back in. You can also edit any text directly. So if you're noticing any spelling mistakes, you can make a change here and all changes will be updated across the My Map table view and on the Future Makers page if you're published, which is a feature we'll come to at the end. So that's shared outcomes from the overarching ecosystem plan, and it's how those shared outcomes are adopted internally. We looked at how the finance department are contributing towards the zero carbon principle, and we looked at how you can manage that both visually in a mind map or drill down in a table view, then also create a document in a variety of different lenses. I just need to zoom to let me get to my tabs at the top. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is look at how we then cascade these shared outcomes externally throughout our ecosystem of connected stakeholders. And all this functionality can be found here in the Ecosystem Center, which I have opened up here. Let's go back to the screen. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you then is what we mean by our ecosystem, and that can be found here in connections. So if I zoom in, here's company X right in the center. And we have two different types of connections, purple and green. The purple connections are all of our internal departments. So there's the finance, HR, customer support, and marketing. But these green links show all the external stakeholders who have connected to company X through adopting one of their shared outcomes from our ecosystem plan. So we've got a renewable energy company, a recycling company, refreshments, a community center, and also a gym. So in one way or another, these series of stakeholders form part of the company X ecosystem and have connected in and are working towards the same shared outcomes or shared indicators. Let's have a look at how we can drill down on this. So here is the Ecosystem Center, and I'm going to open up shared outcomes first. And here it is. Again, you can choose which shared outcome you want to look at, but for consistency, I've opened up that same operate on 100% renewable energy that we've been looking at so far. The same color coding applies. So with the purple links here are all the internal departments, the green is everything external, and the yellow is actually the ecosystem plan, which is why we have all of the shared outcomes and the shared indicators shown by this white border. So we can see here every type of shared outcome, shared indicator, outcome, action, or indicator that has been linked to operate on 100% renewable energy across the entire ecosystem. So this is great for collaboration and learning. You can see what everybody's doing to contribute towards that shared goal of operating 100% renewable energy. So I'm going to zoom in down here, and we can see this is the change company energy supplier. So this is the action we were just looking at in the finance department. Let's take a look at the one next to it. So this is walk, cycle and swim the length of the UK. This is an action that the HR department has got in their staff engagement plan. Let's take a look at what this is contributing towards. So here I've opened up the staff management plan. Again, it's in my map view. We're still using One Planet Living to keep that consistency. And here, right in the center, we can see that there is the action walk, cycle, swim the length of the company. So the HR staff engagement team have decided to do this because it's helping to have happy, healthy staff. It's working towards promoting of walking and cycling. It's helping staff to be encouraged to take time outside, and it's developing planet consciousness. So this particular action is quite a fun thing that's going to help contribute to a number of the shared outcomes that the company is trying to achieve. You can see how it's in progress and who's organising it, and the additional data, we can start to drill down and see what's going on. So this is one way of seeing what's taking place. Let's go back to the shared outcome view. We could also then take a look and see what's happening externally. So we can see, for instance, that offer home tariff discount to staff can be found as an action in the renewable energy company plan. So we can see that their stakeholders, this makes sense because of what we saw with Jason's note earlier, that the renewable energy company, who they've got their new renewable energy tariff from, they've connected, they've added them as one of their suppliers. As a stakeholder, they've asked them to connect to their ecosystem, and the renewable energy company has been able to add that particular action because that's an action they're taking in order to help contribute to operating on 100% renewable energy. You can also see that they have an indicator of tracking how many staff are also on that home energy tariff. So we can start to see all the things that are taking place across the ecosystem around particular nodes. I'm just going to have to do this again to get past the slide more. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you really of the Ecosystem Centre is this adoption reports. So as before we saw document view for one particular plan in the finance department, what we're viewing here is a document of the entire ecosystem. So again, we're in the One Planet Living lens. I'm going to make sure that all data has been selected to make sure that I'm not missing anything. We can filter this report because it's bringing and collating everything from across the entire ecosystem. So for instance, you could choose to show only specific shared outcomes from your ecosystem plan. As we scroll down, we can see all of them there. And then we also get to all the shared indicators. So you can start to drill down by only looking at specific indicators. As we come back up, you can then organize it around your internal subgroups. So this is all of the company's departments. And then we can see all of the stakeholders that have connected as well. You can also tailor it by which type of node you want to be shown in your report, and also the type of data that's been added to your actions and indicators. So if you wanted to create a report that was only looking at the health and happiness of your customer support department, then you could deselect everything, make sure that only these are shown, apply selection, it's only going to collate those particular pieces of information. Maybe you want to know what zero carbon initiatives or your stakeholders are doing. Again, you could select just the stakeholders and the shared outcomes and shared indicators of zero carbon, and it's going to produce a report. For now, I'm just going to keep everything. So I'm going to ask it to apply everything and collate everything from our internal ecosystem and all of the ecosystem accounts that this has been connected to. Okay, so now we have a report in the One Planet Living lens. Let's jump down for consistency to zero carbon. Bear with me, please acknowledge my click, there we go. So here we are, we've got zero carbon by 2025 as one of the outcomes, and here's our operate on 100% renewable energy. So let's take a look, what's going on. Let's have a look at the customer support department. So they're tracking an indicator of how many of their work from home staff are using renewable energy supplies. And they've been collating all their data, and they can see that they're doing quite well in progress. They've got 70% there, but their target is 100%. So they're almost there. We can see what's going on. There's the Company X 2020 discount offer. So it seems quite a few people are taking advantage of that. Let's scroll down. We can see the ESG investment plan. We're familiar with this one. Here's the change company energy supplier data. Let's take a look at stakeholders. Let's look at the renewable energy company. What data have they got? So on their offer home tariff discount to client staff, we've got their 60% of company staff are using their renewable energy tariff for at-home energy. That's fantastic. We can see there's a couple of stories there as well tracking their progress. So we can start to see what everyone's doing all in one place. It collates all of your data, all of your actions, all of the indicators, all of the quantitative and qualitative data that everyone's willing to share around those initiatives, and it brings it all together in one place. So you can start to make solid decisions based on data, not only of your own internal data, but also your stakeholders and how they're also contributing. Again, at the click of a button, you could change this to a different lens or set it at a cadence of doing weekly reports, monthly reports, annual reports. And again, if you switch edit mode on, you can choose to hide different types of data if you don't see it's relevant to the particular report you're making. You can then generate the report as a PDF and it will save that report for you. Okay. So that was a quick overview of an ecosystem account. That's our PROConnect ecosystem account. And really the last thing I wanted to say was after you've built out your ecosystem, what you can also do is fill in this vision section, which just has a little bit of information about your company, who you are, and what you're trying to achieve. And if you choose to publish, then your plans can then become visible on the showcase page on oneplanet.com, and you can become one of our One Planet family. And this is everyone who's chosen to publish one of their plans and their profile, having used a One Planet account. So I stop sharing my screen. Nothing more to say, but thank you. And if you have any questions about how a PROConnect ecosystem account or even one of our other account types might be useful for you, please don't hesitate to get in contact with one of the team, and we'd love to have a talk to you and see how one of our products may well help you to join the dots, make the connections, and become more resilient through sharing those shared outcomes within your team, both internally and externally. Thank you.